Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the internet, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an honor and a privilege, as it is every day, to have you guys joining me here as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, a little bit of television here and there, some other things sprinkled in as well, and all that good stuff. And now, hey, I got an announcement to make. Before we make that announcement, as you guys know, that one of the new segments we've been doing here on the show is, of course, the question of the day. And yesterday's question of the day had to do with our little friend Aquaman. And the question that we asked yesterday was simple. What should Aquaman do about moving dates? And your three options were, number one, Aquaman should move release dates. Option number two was that, no, another one of the movies releasing in December should move release dates. And option number three was, nobody needs to move, all the movies will be fine. And here are the results. Over 1,000 of you guys sent in responses. Here are the results. You guys overwhelmingly said, almost 90% of you said that Aquaman should, yes, it should move its release date. 89.59% of you guys said that. 5.4% of you guys said no, another movie should move off the date. And about 5%, 4.99% of you said no, every movie in December will be fine without moving. So overwhelmingly, you guys responded that Aquaman should indeed be moved off that date. Okay. Don't worry, we got another question of the day coming a little bit near the end of the show, and we'll get to that in a bit. But for now, I want to get to an announcement I have to make. Now, you guys know I do my Masters of the Web panel at Comic-Con every year. I've been mentioning that this year I'm really excited because the panel is going to be about you getting started and growing your own YouTube channel. I'm not talking about not doing it professionally. I'm talking about doing it as a way to express your love of the material that you're a fan of, your way of contributing to the film fan community online and adding your voices to the conversation. And it'll be applicable to blogging and podcasting as well. Well, now I can actually give you all the details of it. So here it is. The Masters of the Web panel at Comic-Con this year, starting and growing your YouTube channel, will be on the Friday of Comic-Con. That's on July the 20th, and it'll be from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. And what I'm really excited about is just 2 years ago, Comic-Con also started hosting panels in the Neil Morgan Auditorium over at the San Diego Central Library. They have put us in there this year, which I'm really excited about. I'm kind of stoked about being in there because it's absolutely beautiful. So let me talk for a second about the panelists and why I'm so excited about the panel that we have. Because each one of these panelists represent a different perspective on the world of online fandom and doing YouTube and all that kind of stuff. First of all, well, there's me, so you guys know me. Hello. But then we've got Scott Mantz. Scott, you guys know Scott, but what some of you may not know is Scott is also the president of the Los Angeles Online Film Critics Society. He works with dozens of online film pundits. That's what he does. So he has a really unique perspective about what a lot of professional online film pundits are doing, their habits, what they're bringing to the table. And I think Scott's going to be able to offer a lot of really great insight from that perspective. Also on the panel is my friend Dorina Aurelio. She is so cool. She's just one of the coolest people I know. But on top of that, she works at Google. So she's got a very meta view of like the online world. But also just this past year, she started her own YouTube channel as well about fan stuff. And she's going to be able to bring a really unique perspective about a new person starting a new YouTube channel and some of the challenges that she's faced and she's recognized in today's YouTube era. So she's going to be able to bring that perspective. Then, of course, my friend that you've met a couple of times, Soul Video, John Green, Executive Vice President over at Fine Brothers. Of course, Fine Brothers, one of the most influential, biggest names in YouTube, has been for years. And amongst his many responsibilities there, John is in charge of social interaction there. He's in charge of social. And so he's going to be able to bring a great perspective from like a monstrous YouTube presence, but also a perspective about how to engage, how to interact with other people in your community and all that kind of stuff. Then you got me. I've built and developed 3 different YouTube channels to over, 100,000 subscribers each, to over millions of views a month. And I'm going to be able to bring that perspective. So you got these 3 incredible panelists joining me. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And the specific details, once again, it's going to be on the Friday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. in the Neil Morgan Auditorium at the San Diego Library. That's right beside Petco Park, which is, of course, right beside the convention center. So that's where that is. Here's an interesting thing. Thanks to a secret sponsor who will not be named, everybody that comes, at least up to the first 300 people, not that I'm expecting more than 10 people, but up to the first 300 people will receive a $10 AMC Theaters gift card that can be used at concession stands and for tickets and whatever. So that's my announcement for it. I hope that any of you guys who are going to be at Comic-Con will consider coming on down and meeting us and saying hi and participating in the panel. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And again, you don't have to be somebody who's looking to do this full time. Just something to do as a fun hobby to contribute to the online fan community. We need more voices in the online fan community. We need new, good, quality, fun voices in the online fan community, and maybe you'll be one of those. So I hope you guys will join us. Okay, guys, with all that stuff out of the way, we got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about today, so let's get things rolling with a little segment we call the Movie News Feed. First up, over the years, there have been tons of reports and announcements about various anime mecha properties coming to the big screen, but nothing ever happened. Remember back in 2007 when Warner Brothers announced that they got the rights to Robotech and that Tobey Maguire was going to produce and star in it? Yeah, well, nothing happened. Anyway, it looks like another giant fighting robot series is going to try to get on the movie screen, as it has just been announced that Legendary Pictures is going to move forward with a live-action incarnation of Gundam. From The Hollywood Reporter, the original Gundam series, which began in 1979, is set in the Universal Century, an era in which people have immigrated to space colonies because of a growing population on Earth. Eventually, the people living in the colonies seek their autonomy and launch a war of independence against the people on Earth. Battles are fought by piloting robots known as mobile suits. Gundam is one of these fantasy properties that a lot of people have talked about over the years. Wouldn't it be cool to see a Gundam? But you know, it's never really going to happen. I mean, it came close again, like we said, back in 2007. They even announced that, Tobey Maguire was going to produce. It was going to be maybe the first film in a new series of films, a new franchise, and it just kind of quietly died and went away. Will the same thing happen to Gundam? Not really sure. Now, the overall story arc of Gundam is pretty hard to follow. It has spanned 40 years, like 20 different TV series. There is a trilogy of movies you can watch to get you up to speed. It sounds a little bit like the whole storyline of Firefly and Serenity, a bit. Obviously, Gundam came earlier than that, but that's fine. The concept of another giant fighting robot movie, is it something that works anymore? With Transformers kind of petering out, with the fact that Pacific Rim has kind of petered out, is the audience going to want to get in line for another giant robot movie? I actually think the answer to that could be yes, it could, especially if you tie in some really cool mythology like Gundam brings with it. And like I said, it's got like almost 40 years of storytelling that it has to draw on with some really rich characters. It's very politically involved. It's got a lot of human stories, a lot of intrigue, all that kind of stuff on top of really kick-ass action with giant robots. So could this succeed where Robotech never even got to the starting line? Let's wait and see. Next up, MoviePass has once again changed things up and have officially launched its peak pricing surcharge that will essentially make it the most expensive movie program out there if you go to popular movies at popular times. The movies most of us want to see at the times most of us want to see them. From Variety, the service, which has warned subscribers in late June that peak pricing was coming, began including the surcharge on some of its showtimes on Thursday. It said such showings would be marked with a red lightning bolt icon that would cost between $2 and $6 extra. Peak pricing goes into effect when there's high demand for a movie or showtime, MoviePass told its subscribers. It went on to say, you may be asked to pay a small additional fee depending on the level of demand. You can avoid the surcharge by selecting a different showtime or movie. Essentially, what has just happened is that if you want to see the movies everybody else wants to see, at the movies that everybody else wants to see them, or at the times that everybody else wants to see them, MoviePass has just effectively made themselves more expensive than Cinemia and AMC A-List. Because let's, for argument's sake, that you just want to go to 3 movies this month, and you want to go on a Friday or Saturday, and you want to go see new releases. That's the general movie-going habits of the average movie-going audience. So if that's the case, you just want to go see 3, you could be spending upwards of $18 in surcharges on top of the $10 a month for the price. Now you're paying $28 a month to go see 3 movies. And you still don't get to book your tickets in advance or online or reserve your seats. Whereas, you get something like an AMC A-List, you can book online in advance reserve your seats, pick your movie, any showtime, on and on and on and on. Suddenly now, MoviePass has made itself more expensive. Now, at the same time, you can't really blame MoviePass for this. Look, everybody's known, we've said forever, MoviePass's model was simply unsustainable. And now they're at the point where they're just about out of money and they have to do some things to try to mitigate their financial losses. Something like peak price surcharging isn't actually a terrible idea. The thing is, why wasn't this in place with them from the beginning? Why wasn't this a part of their plan? Did they just not realize, oh, hey, our plan's not sustainable, and now it is? Now, their stock has hit another all-time low. We talked last week about how it hit 33 cents, then it dropped all the way down to 25 cents. Now it's gone from $38 a share down to 22 cents a share the last time that I checked. This surcharging isn't going to do much. There's no positive way to spin it. If this was something that they had a part of their plan right from the beginning, it's a lot easier to digest. It's much more difficult to digest for the consumer when you start them off at $10 and say, oh, now we're going to nickel and dime you for this, and now we're going to charge you for this, and now we're going to charge you for this. Because like I said, at just 3 movies a month, 3 popular movies at popular showtimes, you're now spending more than what an AMC A-list subscriber is spending on their thing, and they're getting far more service for their dollars. Again, it's just another thing that does not paint a very hopeful picture for MoviePass. Next up, as some of you may remember, it was announced a number of months ago that a Sopranos prequel movie was going into development to be titled The Many Saints of Newark. Now, they've taken a major step forward by announcing a director for the film in the form of Alan Taylor. From coming soon, Taylor got his start working in television, previously directing 9 episodes of The Sopranos and winning an Emmy Award for his direction of Season 6, Episode 18 of the series. Since then, he's gone on to work with other primetime dramas like Mad Men and Game of Thrones, in addition to making his feature film debut with Thor: The Dark World and following that up with Terminator Genisys. And now I get it, that was all sounding pretty good until we mentioned Thor: The Dark World and Terminator Genisys. Now, granted, I don't think Thor: The Dark World is as bad as a lot of other people think. Now, I certainly agree it was a major step down from the first Thor film, which I think is a top 10 comic book film of all time. But Thor: The Dark World was definitely a big step down, and Terminator Genisys, I don't know what director could have made that any good, but it certainly wasn't spectacular work. However, this is him getting back into something that he is obviously very familiar with. He won an Emmy Award directing Sopranos. He directed 9 episodes of that show. This is a dude that clearly understands the people, the personalities, and the world of The Sopranos. Now, the fact that they're even making this movie, I think is intriguing. A lot of people, I remember when they first mentioned The Saints of Newark, that why, like, if you're going to do a Sopranos movie, do it with the modern era, do it with the characters we know and love. I actually love the idea of going back in time because it gives you a different environment to tell different stories with different characters. And along the way, bring in some, well, maybe not faces, but names that you'll recognize. Because, they'll be 50 years ago, so maybe you don't recognize the faces. But it gives you the opportunity to have names that you'll recognize while telling new stories in a new environment with other new characters. It actually sounds like a great idea all around, and it gives you some options and some opportunities for sequels as well if this one's a hit. Now, that's a huge if. So, while I myself am not a big fan of Alan Taylor's big screen directorial resume, talking about, of course, Thor: The Dark World and Terminator Genisys, I am a big fan of what he's done with television, and the fact that he's already so familiar with this Sopranos world, he's actually kind of the perfect guy to do this. And finally, there was already a lot of excitement and anticipation for the upcoming Fast and the Furious spin-off film, Hobbs and Shaw, a movie following Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Jason Statham's characters from the franchise in their own standalone movie. Well, that anticipation has just been amplified as it has been announced that actor Idris Elba himself is joining the film as its main antagonist. From CinemaBlend, once all the paperwork is in order, Elba would be the 4th actor to be added to the film, as it was previously reported this week that The Crown's Vanessa Kirkby is joining Hobbs and Shaw to play Deckard Shaw's sister, an MI5 agent. Already well known on television for his performances as Stringer Bell in one of the greatest shows of all time, The Wire, and John Luther in Luther, Idris Elba's movie career has taken off over the past decade with blockbusters like the Thor trilogy, Pacific Rim, Star Trek Beyond, and The Jungle Book. It doesn't matter what movie you're talking about. When you say Idris Elba joining cast, you get excited. When you say Idris Elba joining cast as the villain, even more excited. The fact that you're going to see him paired off and squaring off against Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Jason Statham, this is just, I don't like using this word very often, but epic. This could be absolutely incredible. First of all, Idris Elba is one of these actors who's got like a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson kind of charisma to him. It's a very different kind of charisma, but he's got a huge charisma factor to him, right? And he's beloved by the genre film fans. He's a badass. He's super cool. But at the same time, he's just a terrific thespian. He's just a great actor. That's why you get excited when you hear that a performer like an Idris Elba is joining a movie, in particular, a movie like Hobbs and Shaw, a Fast and Furious spin-off film. This guy will bring an element to their villains that we haven't got to see very often. He's a huge, intimidating looking figure. He's got this killer villainous voice, or good guy voice, depending on what you want to use him for. And to see him on screen with these guys, I think is wonderful. To me, this is a no-brainer. I gotta say, I've already been excited about this because one of the things I did not like about the last Fast and Furious movie was the fact that they teased all this awesome Hobbs and Shaw, violent action, and it never had a payoff. And I want to see that payoff. So going into it, now you're adding a name like Idris Elba. That is gold. I can't wait to hear what else they got in store for us as far as the rest of the cast goes. And that'll do it for today's installment of the Movie News Feed. And now you are all caught up to date with all the stuff going on in the world of movies. I'm telling you what, I'm pretty stoked about the Idris Elba thing. I really am. I've been excited about the Hobbs and Shaw movie anyway, because you guys know I love The Rock, I love Jason Statham, but adding in there an Idris Elba, the dude is just such a good actor. Do you remember he played Charles Minor on The Office and how great he was on The Office? And I could sit here and just about Idris Elba all day. I could just geek out over the dude all day. Such a great pure actor's actor, but at the same time he can embrace and do the geek stuff really well. Just very excited to have him in this movie. I think he's going to add a really cool dimension to it. Okay, guys, with all that out of the way, let's go on to our main topics. And our main topics are, of course, topics that are submitted by you guys. How do you guys submit a topic or a question to be one of our main topics of the day? It's simple. You just email me anytime at john@thejohncampeashow.com. That's john@thejohncampeashow.com. Make sure you put that word topic in the subject line. And, of course, guys, keep your emails to 90 words or less. With that down, let's get to the first topic of the day. And the first main topic today comes to us from Vito Fiore, who writes, "Hey John, with Skyscraper coming out soon, do you think anticipation should be higher? I think Rampage did okay domestically. Personally, the marketing has been meh, but I'm seeing it because of Dwayne Johnson. I think he wants this to be his classic action movie. Also, he seems to keep his lead films' budgets reasonable." Well, first things first, Vito, Dwayne Johnson has nothing to do with the film's budgets. He does not control the film's budgets. Let's be clear about that right off the bat. I agree with you. The marketing has been meh. I completely agree. Like, I just finished talking about how much I love Dwayne Johnson, but the marketing for Skyscraper has been meh at best. I'll be honest with you. It's almost every morning when I read a new news story about Skyscraper, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that movie's coming out. And I'm a huge Dwayne Johnson fan, and nothing about this marketing campaign has really caught my attention. I mean, I think when I felt a little twinge of excitement was watching the Rock tweet out about how Skyscraper's kind of, their love letter to Die Hard. And when he put it in that context, I felt a little bit more excited about it, because on its surface, it just kind of looks a little bit like a Die Hard ripoff, right? But when it's saying that it's a bit of a Die Hard love letter, I get that. I can relate with that. I can empathize with that. I can wrap myself around that. That's cool. But I got to agree with you. I'm not hearing the buzz for it. I'm not hearing the excitement for it. And I think that's shown that the tracking right now is that they're saying it's going to open to about $32 million. Now, at $32 million, that would make it the #1 original live action film of the year. Wrap your head around that. At $32 million, if it opens at $32 million. Now, we are getting used to hearing about, Jurassic World opens to $110 million or whatever. Ant-Man's going to open to $80 million. Avengers Infinity War opens to $200 and blah, blah, blah million. And then we hear like a Rock movie opening to 32. Well, that's actually pretty good for a movie of its nature. So we do have to keep that in context. But I agree, for a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie, I'm not sensing a lot of buzz. And I will admit, despite the fact that I am a huge fan of this dude and most of his movies, I gotta admit, I'm not feeling a lot of excitement for it either. Obviously, I'm gonna go and check it out. Hopefully, it can turn us all around. It has positive word of mouth and has good legs, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. All right, let's move on to the next topic. And the next topic today gets sent to us from John Demoto, who writes, "Hello, John. I've seen a few box office articles saying Fallen Kingdom," that's the new Jurassic World movie, "is a quote-unquote disappointment since it'll fall quite a bit from the first Jurassic World. Do you think Universal Studios will be happy with its box office take dropping almost 30% from the first one?" All right, here's the interesting thing about this. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, I liked the movie. I don't think it's great, but I liked it. I think it was probably the best Jurassic Park movie since the original Jurassic Park. Not that that's saying a lot, because not a lot of the sequels have been all that great. And the first Jurassic Park is amazing, and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom comes nowhere near that, but I thought it was pretty good. I had some fun with it. Not great, had some fun with it, though. But this is a great example about how people love to shoehorn in and force a negative narrative when we can. It seems to be human nature. We all seem to do it, but desperately trying to find ways to look at something negatively. Let me just put this in context. This movie right here is about to join the $1 billion club. All right? Is about to join the $1 billion club. Something that Spider-Man Homecoming didn't do. Something that, as much as everybody loved Spider-Man Homecoming did not join the $1 billion club. As much as everybody loved Thor Ragnarok did not join the $1 billion club. They're still huge successes, but didn't join the $1 billion club. Wonder Woman, as much as everybody talks and lauds about Wonder Woman, did not join the $1 billion club. This film is about to join the $1 billion club. Something movies like Wonder Woman never did, Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, most 99% of films that come out do not join the $1 billion club. This one's about to join the $1 billion club. And I've read these articles as well, man. People trying to spin it like it's a negative. Oh, it's only making $1 billion. By the way, it's going to make over $1 billion, but I mean, it's about to cross the $1 billion mark now. Oh, what a disappointment. Oh, what a disappointment. Let me get this straight. Wonder Woman never made $1 billion. Thor Ragnarok never made $1 billion. Spider-Man Homecoming never made $1 billion. It never made $1 billion. Like, just in spite of the fact, we talk about, oh, huge successes, blah, 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 blah. This movie joins the $1 billion club and we try to spin it as a negative. Then comes this really manufactured lame excuse. But the last one, who cares what the last one did? We're not talking about the last one. We're talking about this movie. There's a motion picture called Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and it's about to join the $1 billion club. Period. End of sentence. That's all you need to know. Is that a success? You're damn freaking right it's a success. Is it a good enough movie to deserve to be $1 billion film? No, probably not. But it's about to be $1 billion film. And I cannot help but chuckle a little bit under my breath to anybody who tries to paint that as a bad thing. Oh, what a disappointment. What are you talking? And the analogy I like to use is Usain Bolt, traditionally the fastest man alive, wins the gold medal. And I remember this. He won the gold medal this one year, but it was slower than like the previous gold medal. Oh, and I heard this one. First of all, everybody else in the world is like, oh my God, he won another gold medal. That's the right response. But I remember watching this one commentator going, oh, I don't know. I mean, Usain Bolt's losing it. His last gold medal thing was faster. I think he's going to have to be disappointed with this, and he's going to have to look at what's wrong with this training. Blah. And I'm like sitting at my TV going, what the holy F are you talking about? The dude just won the Olympic gold medal, and here's some asshat trying to paint it in a negative light. Now, look, the other thing to keep in mind here is this, is that the first Jurassic World, everybody knows it way overperformed. Everybody knows the first Jurassic World film way overperformed. Not even in Universal's wildest dreams was Jurassic World going to, for the time, break the opening weekend box office record. Nobody saw that coming, not even Universal. Had great leads. It was lightning in a bottle. The nostalgia factor of Jurassic Park with the new visual effects. It had been a while since we had a Jurassic World movie, and everything just kind of coalesced. Chris Pratt was very hot at the time. All this kind of stuff just was lightning in a bottle, and it overperformed. For us now to judge the performance of Jurassic World, again, let's emphasize this. A film that's about to join the $1 billion club in relation to what it just did to the last Jurassic World is just idiotic. It's just idiotic. Now, in deep analysis, you can go, okay, so why did Jurassic World, the first Jurassic World, make more than the second one? There's analysis to be done there. But at the end of the day, if you're just trying to chalk up wins and losses, anybody who tries to tell you that a motion picture that comes out and joins the $1 billion club is anything less than a win simply either has an agenda or they completely have their head in the sand. It's to me, it's just utterly ridiculous, that notion. And I don't think this movie deserves to be a $1 billion movie. Not at all. I think it's a pretty fun movie. Had a good time with it. It's certainly not a great movie. Does not deserve to be a $1 billion film. But it is. And there's nothing short. So when you ask me, do I think Universal... No, Universal is throwing a party. I guarantee you, when you put out a movie, again, keep it in perspective. As much as everybody celebrates the big box office accomplishments of It, of Wonder Woman, of Thor Ragnarok, of Spider-Man Homecoming, of a ton of other DCEU movies, a ton of other MCU movies, this film's joining the $1 billion club and none of them did. Is it a disappointment? Oh, God, no. God, no. And again, I don't think anybody with any rational common sense expected Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom to come anywhere near the first Jurassic World, because the first Jurassic World way overperformed, and you know that, and I know that, and everybody knows that. But anyway, that's just kind of me. Anyway, I blabbed on about that long enough. Let's move on to the third and final topic of the day. And the third and final topic of the day comes to us from Kieran Mackay, who writes, I've been seeing a few comments around the place about Thanos not having to be CGI. He's a 7 foot tall, 500, well, in the movie he's bigger than 7 feet, a 500-pound alien, for heaven's sakes. It's not like there are many of them walking around. I just don't see how anyone can think this. It's happened with a lot of CGI-heavy characters like Steppenwolf, Hulk, and many more. Also, that group of folks saying there was no need for CGI, but why? You got me. And you know what? I've been seeing those articles as well. There's one comparison I see being made a lot, which is to Guillermo del Toro's The Shape of Water. By the way, guys, magnificent film. If you still haven't seen it, you should see it. Now, of course, you have The Shape of Water, and it's a man-in-suit costume. And the great Doug Jones, who does basically all of Guillermo del Toro's man-in-suit stuff. And by the way, Doug Jones is also in Star Trek... Discovery, the new Star Trek show. And he's really good in it, by the way. And again, he plays an alien in this big costume, but he's fantastic in it. Anyway, so a lot of people go, well, you know, Guillermo del Toro, I see this comparison being made a lot. The monster in Shape of Water was man in costume, and it was great. It's like, oh, gosh, but they were two totally different types of characters. Because you want to see 90% of the creature in The Shape of Water? Here it is. I'm about to give you 90% of the shots and scenes of the monster in Shape of Water. Ready? And a lot of blinking. That's the performance. All right. Now, that's the performance that you wanted from that creature. So it's perfect. But that's the performance. You know, I mean, that's it. Thanos was a completely different kind of character. Besides the fact that physically you just couldn't embody Thanos in a costume. You just couldn't have done it. But aside from that, the performance needed from Thanos. Thanos was the main character of that movie. And the depth of emotion and the dialogue and the action and the fighting and all that kind of stuff. Look, Doug Jones in The Shape of Water just had to do this. I mean, that's different from what you needed from Thanos. Thanos needed to be 100% expressive movement, basically have an MMA fight with the Hulk, all that kind of stuff. You could not have done that with Man in Suit. It just couldn't have been done. Now, so I understand where some people are coming from when they want to compare it to, say, like Shape of Water, because yes, that was perfect in Shape of Water, because that creature, that character, if you will, that's all that was needed to be perfect. But Thanos was a different thing altogether. So even putting aside the physical limitations of what you needed for a Thanos, the performance limitations that come from doing a man in suit as opposed to being able to be 100% get what you want out of a CGI character. Look, Yes, when in doubt, man in suit is probably the better way to go, but there are some circumstances where that just ain't practical or possible. So you needed to go CGI, and I personally think CGI was absolutely the right way to go for Thanos. But anyway, that's just how I feel it. All right, guys, listen, it's time now for us, before we get to the live questions, it's time for us to get to today's question of the day. And here's the question for you guys today. It revolves around the news of Idris Elba being in the new Fast and Furious movie. And I want to know this. Now that we know Idris Elba is in the new Fast and Furious movie, of course, the spin-off one, Hobbs and Shaw, with Jason Statham and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, here's the question. The question is, how will Hobbs and Shaw do at the box office? And you've got three options. One, it'll be the biggest Fast and Furious movie ever. Two, it'll be big, but not as big as the top two Fast and Furious movies. Or option three is it won't be that big. It'll be one of the lower box office Fast and Furious movies in the bunch. The link to the survey is at the bottom of the description of this video. So go into the description of the video. At the very bottom, you'll see the link to the survey. Go start filling out the survey now. Click your option. Is it going to be the biggest Fast and Furious movie ever now that we know Idris Elba's in there too? Is it going to be big, but not like amongst the top one or two biggest? Or will it be one of the lower Fast and Furious box office movies? Go in there. Again, the link is in the description of the video. Click it, and we'll just check on the survey at the end of the show to see where we're at with the survey. But we'll give the final results, of course, on Monday. Okay, with that stuff down, let's go on to the live questions today. We only got a few minutes left, but there's just a few live questions in here, so let's get through these. Ben Kenobi writes, I saw A Quiet Place finally. Loved it. John Krasinski was great. No longer Jim to me. I'm looking forward to seeing him and Jack Ryan. Are you? Yeah, I'm looking forward. I thought the preview for the new, for those of you who don't know, John Krasinski is starring in a new Jack Ryan series. Of course, Jack Ryan is character in Patriot Games, Hunt for Red October, Clear and Present Danger. And now he's playing Jack Ryan. And the preview for it looked really good. It looked really good. And you know what, Ben? I was with you. I saw Quiet Place, and I kind of remember saying to myself, John Krasinski is no longer just Jim from The Office to me. Now he's the dude from Quiet Place. But then I watched some more episodes of The Office, and I'm thinking, nah, he'll always be Jim to me. So I had the exact same reaction as you did, but then I went and watched more episodes of The Office, and I'm like, nah, he'll always be Jim to me, I got to admit. But man, what a breakout hit. Of course, we did our mid-year movie awards, the Filthies. Quiet Place swept up. It won every major award except for Best Supporting Actor. Noah Jupe did not win Best Supporting Actor. That went to Michael B. Jordan, which is no surprise. But John Krasinski won Best Actor, Best Director, and Best Picture. Emily Blunt won Best Actress, and Millicent Simmons won Best Supporting Actress. So it just kind of swept up at it. Great movie. Glad you saw it. Glad you had a good time. Akeem, the African Dream, writes, saw Ant-Man and Wasp, that scene. My entire theater gasped for air at the same time. I had so much fun with this movie. Evangeline Lilly's hair was nice. Evangeline Lilly's hair was a big upgrade from the last movie. And I remember having this one discussion on the show that somebody said, Angeline Lilly didn't look good in the first one. I'm like, first of all, Angeline Lilly, by the way, good Canadian kid. Angeline Lilly looks good always. There's no way around that. Angeline Lilly looks good always. Let's just be clear about that. But yeah, I agree. Her hair game went up a number of notches in this. Her hair did look great in this movie. I'm glad you had a chance to see it. And by the way, guys, this Sunday, 2 p.m. in the afternoon, we're going to do our open Ant-Man and the Wasp spoiler discussion. Make sure if you've seen it, you can see it. You could have seen it last night. You can see it tonight. You can see it tomorrow. But make sure you've seen the movie and then come back and join us on Sunday for our open live Ant-Man and the Wasp spoiler discussion. All right, Dakota Barber writes, saw Ant-Man and Wasp, really enjoyed it. Great humor, heart, and action. Loved the mid-credit scene too. Had my audience buzzing. Luis was great. Yeah, Michael Pena as Luis. I mean, you could announce, Kevin Feige could announce tomorrow a murder mystery in the vein of a Scooby-Doo kind of murder mystery MCU movie starring Luis and his guys. And I'd be all down for it. And that movie will make $300 million at the box office. Michael Pena has just found a way to create this character and bring life to this character, Luis, that you just feel joy every time Luis is on the screen. Every time he's on the screen, you just feel joy. He's just so much fun to watch in that role. I love it. If you did a standalone movie of him, I'd be so there. All right, Jason Twinner writes, after Paul Walker's passing, the lack of Vin/Paul chemistry hurts the Fast and Furious franchise, I think. Now people want to see The Rock. Vin isn't the main draw anymore. I don't know about that. I mean, I don't think you're alone in that opinion, Jason. I think there are a number of people that are wondering the same thing. And I will admit, I am also wondering the same thing. However, Fast and the Furious got to Fast and the Furious 5 without The Rock. Now granted, the whole idea, yes, but you had the Vin and Paul Walker chemistry. Well, Fast and the Furious 2 didn't have Vin and Paul Walker. Fast and the Furious 3 didn't have Vin and Paul Walker. And yet it made it to 5. So I admit, I'm wondering that too, Jason. I am wondering that. We will see. So that goes actually to our question of the day. How do you think Hobbs and Shaw, are people going to flood out to see this thing, proving that this is now the Rock's franchise? Is it going to be big, but not the biggest, proving that The Rock is like one of the main draws along with Vin Diesel? Or will it be one of the lower box office ones out of the Fast and Furious franchise? Like, people are looking for Fast and Furious. They're not looking for spin-offs. Is that the option? Make sure you go to the link that's in the description below and go cast your vote. All right. Where'd Dim Sum go? Dim Sum was right here a second ago. Here he is. Dim Sum 05 writes, saw Ant-Man and Wasp yesterday. Good, but not better than Infinity War or the original Ant-Man. Infinity War is still my favorite MCU movie this year. Ant-Man and the Wasp is the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 of 2018. I mean, I agree with your first part, Dim Sum. I really enjoyed Ant-Man and the Wasp, like a lot. I still think I prefer the original Ant-Man more, but you guys know how much I love that first Ant-Man. And I probably think Infinity War is better as well. It's a very different kind of movie. I still think the best MCU movie of the year is Black Panther, but so we'll differ on that a little bit. But yeah, it's still, what a year for the MCU. Their 3 films are Black Panther, Infinity War, and Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I really just adore all of them. So it's a really good year for them for sure. Anthony Luculano writes, just watch Sing Street, really recommend it. Sing Street is a beautiful little film that never got like major attention, but it's one of those films that as people started to see it, they're like, oh my God, have you seen this movie, Sing Street? It's so good. It's so good. It's all charm with these young actors and performers, and the whole movie is all about charm, and it charms you. It completely charms you, and before you realize it, you are so invested in these characters. It's a beautiful little film. Everybody who has seen it was talking about it. Take Anthony's advice. If you haven't checked out Sing Street yet, make sure you do it. It's really, really good. All right, here we go. Last couple of questions here. Trey McValley writes, thank you for what you do for our community. I don't always agree with you. You're not supposed to always agree with me, man. I don't always agree with you, but you articulate your positions well, and I trust that your opinions are your own. You've actually inspired me to start my own channel. Thanks, man. That's awesome. I'm so glad you are. What YouTube does is it offers the fan community a chance to really put out their voices. And I think we need more people. Like, like some people say it's totally saturated. Yeah, it's saturated. And yet I still think we need more. We need fans contributing their voice. And who cares if your channel has 5 views a month? Who cares if your channel has 50 views a month or 100 views a month? The important thing is to join the conversation. Create your own circle of the community. Be a part of it. I love that more people are doing that. That's why my Comic-Con panel is about what it is. And I'm so glad you're doing that, Trey. And thank you for sharing that, man. I really, really appreciate it. And good luck with that. I think it's going to be great. I think you're going to have a ton of fun doing it. All right. Kidman104 writes, Batfleck felt like the Arkham games. You're not the only person to say that. I think a lot of people are making that comparison. And certainly on the surface, it's true. I think there are some differences in there, but just by saying there are similarities between Batfleck and the Batman we get in the Arkham games, I think that's indisputable. I think that's absolutely indisputable. I think you're 100% right about that. You can't deny that those similarities are there. All right, final question of the day comes to us from John Hine, who writes, thoughts on the 2011 comedy 30 Minutes or Less. Now, that's the one with Tom Haverford. Why am I forgetting Tom Haverford's name from Parks and Rec? Aziz Ansari and Lex Luthor, and it's okay. It's an all right little comedy. I remember I was there at the world premiere, and I got to hang out and talk with the cast and stuff like that. And it's a nice little comedy. I would put it, you know what? I liked it, but not enough that I would recommend people to run out and watch it. You know what I'm saying? I liked it. It certainly had its moments, but it didn't live up to the potential it had with a really strong comedic cast that it had. It was a really strong comedic cast, and I didn't think it lived up to its potential. But yeah, overall, I still kind of enjoyed it. Okay, guys, that'll do it for the live questions. Let's go over and check in before we wrap up today's show and check out the results so far. See how many of you guys have voted. I know not many of you probably had the chance to vote so far yet, but in the votes so far, and we have had, how many responses? I cannot tell. Okay, we have 50 of you guys have voted already. And right now, it is close. And as a matter of fact, the Fast and Furious spinoff movie, Hobbs and Shaw, will not be that big, is right now in the lead. Oh, wait, is it? Yeah, it's technically in the lead right now. So we are just going to have to wait and see how all that turns out. It's in the lead by about 2 or 3%. So yeah, right now, the majority, it's almost dead even across the board, but the majority of you right now, by a little bit, are saying Hobbs and Shaw is going to be not that big. It's going to be one of the lower rated Fast and Furious movies at the box office. Very interesting. Let's see what those results look like on Monday after a bunch of you guys have had more chance, because it's very, very close. All three, it's almost a straight line up and down. It's very, very close right now. So we will just have to wait and see how that turns out. All right, guys, that will do it for me for today's show. Once again, don't forget, if you're going to be at Comic-Con this year, make sure you come on out on Friday, July the 20th, from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Neil Morgan Auditorium for us doing our Masters of the Web, starting and growing your YouTube fandom channel. Come on out and join us. A terrific panel I have. Scott Mance, Darina Orlando, John Green. Come on out and join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. Also, guys, listen, do me a favor. If you're somebody who enjoys my programming and you like the shows that we do and you like hanging out in this community, do me a favor, just go on over for a minute and check out www.patreon.com/JohnCampea. There you'll get all the information about what it means to be a Patreon supporter, how being a Patreon supporter keeps these shows on the air, and of course the benefits of being a Patreon supporter as well. And maybe you'll want to become a Patreon supporter too. All right, guys, that will do it for me for today's The John Campea Show. Make sure you come back a little bit later today when, of course, we do our Friday afternoon version of Open Mic. Make sure you join us then. That'll do it for me for now, guys. Thanks a lot for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until our next video, bye-bye.